Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
So, first of all, how did you guys meet?
We met at a vintage clothing show in 2008, so it's more than 10 years ago. We instantly bonded. Valerie was curating a show at the Forbes Gallery on antique Japanese children's kimonos. And when she said that to me, it was like, but I got invited to the party. The show was incredible, and I knew probably a third of the people at the reception. So it was like we knew the same kind of people. We knew the same people, but we had not met until that point. And then we clicked.
We started visiting very informally and like once a week we'd go to brunch or something. And then we started going about, let's go to an exhibition, let's go to a museum, let's go to this shop. And that's when people started to notice us.
And when did you guys decide to start your blog together?
People told us to start the blog. It wasn't our idea at all. It was more that we'd go around and people would say, oh, where's the party? Where are you going? Are you stylists? Are you artists? Are you designers? And
No.
the answer was no, no, no. And then they would say, do you have a blog? And we didn't. And I was just mystified, and I'd say, well, who would read it? And everybody we asked that of said, I would. And you could do a blog on Blogspot for, anybody could do it. And because anybody could do it, we figured we can too.
Right. We're living proof that you can actually, go on and start your own blog. We blogged for a very long time, once a week. Sometimes more frequently. We get to go invited to runway shows, obviously the Easter parade every year, big parties, anything that we thought of interest. And Valerie even had a column, sort of the wine bar, where if she had an issue with something, she'd take off.
Wine.
So I think you guys brought some pictures for us to kind of give everyone a sense of, what they can find on the blog and the Instagram. Can we put some of those up?
Cool.
Here we go. Oh, you guys are wearing almost the same thing. Do you guys wear this
sort of
all the time?
Just in case anybody thought we were faking it.
Awesome. Can we show some more?
So this was, our first photo was Industry City has a big vintage show.
Sorry.
Vendors from LA, Dallas, all over the country come to this show. It's probably been for 4 years or so. It's in LA and San Francisco, but they now do one in Industry City. So we go, we know the vendors, and there's several of our girlfriends around. You can see the ladies dressed, a lot of them in hats. We travel in packs because we tend to have more fun than anybody else in the room, and we dress. So this is one of our typical outings. Amazing.
We'll show a couple others. You guys look amazing.
Back that up. That just coincidentally was my birthday this year. And a couple of weeks after that, we were awarded the honor of being one of 10 Instagrammers, and they specifically said Instagrams. Yes, Instagrams. So we were one of 10 people elected by the Evening Standard. And that's not the first time we've been honored that way by some organization or another. Anyway, they asked us to send in a picture, and that's the picture we sent in. I think we're numbers 7 and 8.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because when we're in a foreign paper, we'll be out somewhere later, and someone will approach us and say, I just saw you in my newspaper, or here you are in this magazine, and it's like, why they have it in their bag with them, I'm not sure.
Or don't I know you
But it's always so much fun when you're traveling and someone stops you and they recognize you. It's very much fun. My husband, who never comes to these things, is in the audience, and he always pretends he doesn't know me.
So you mentioned Instagram,
mm-hmm.
And there is this sort of growing class of very stylish, I guess more older women on Instagram. It's not just sort of like the young 22-year-old influencers. Mm-hmm. When did you guys decide to get on Instagram, and what was that decision like, and how did you sort of grow this cult following on there?
It was very easy to get on. Like blogging, it doesn't take any particular skill. You can just upload your picture and write a few words about it. And it was actually a very nice way to get out of blogging. Blogging takes...
When did you guys sign up for Instagram, by the way?
2013, I think it was.
I think so. It's been over 5
early
years.
on. Wow, yeah.
Blogging was taking up like 8 hours at a time for me and 8 hours at a time for her, because we were, co-editing. Let's put this in and let's put that in. Okay, not yet. We're not ready for that yet. Do that after. So it took on a life of its own. So Instagram was a nice alternative. You just put up the photo and let the photo tell your 1,000 words. And as for growing our following, I think appearing in all these magazines, and we've been in 4 books, and we have cameo appearances in 2 documentaries. We've been in the Wall Street Journal, we've been in the New York Times any number of times. So people know us from this kind of thing, and of course with Instagram, people kind of trade pictures, they repost them, and that's one of the ways that you get followers. We haven't been very active. Some people are really active about it. We've been sort of
Do you guys do any of the, I know the Instagram influencer world can be kind of cutthroat, and people, do a lot of kind of marketing techniques to get, engagement. Are you out there with all the hashtags, keeping on top of what's trending?
We will hashtag events, products that we like, friends. Instagram has been fabulous. We have met so many people through Instagram. They will contact us on the DM section saying, I'm coming to New York City.
From
we had
Australia, from Canada.
Come in from Toronto last week for the Industry City.
From Martinique.
Denver, lots of places. And, we've made good, real friendships with people. It's a really wonderful way of connecting.
We've already got a lot in common with them.
And fabulous that older women have engaged in it and can do it and can reach out to us and can follow us, and we follow them, and we can connect to come to events like this. We posted on our Instagram so that a lot of our friends are here to know, where we were going to be and if they wanted to come.
And who are most of your followers? Is it mostly other sort of like women your own age, looking for style advice, or is it a lot of young people too? Talk to me about sort of like the breakdown and who engages with your style.
It runs the gamut. It's fabulous to see. I would have thought initially that we would just have an audience of older women who felt the same way. But one of the wonderful things that's happened is young people come up to us and say things like, oh, I was so afraid of growing old, but now I see that growing old can be fun and cool and interesting, and you can still have a good life, and it's not boring, and you're not relegated to the nether worlds. We get young people, old people, straight people, gay people.
Every gender, every ethnicity, every color, every age. It's every nationality. It's amazing.
So, there's so many people out there sort of struggling to develop their own style. You guys have, sort of amazing, unique styles of your own. How did you come to sort of develop your personal style, and has it changed over time?
You want to go first, or I will?
You go.
I grew up in the 60s, well, we both grew up in the 60s, and it was a blooming, blossoming, booming period for fashion, so you couldn't not see it. Get Vogue magazine and Harper's Bazaar every week and see Twiggy doing this and Jean Shrimpton doing that, and all these famous people wearing all these marvelous clothes by Rudy Gernreich and Miss Sony and, oh God, Montana, and Montana was the 80s. But anyway, that's the crux of it. That's where it starts. And you never lose that. It was a very colorful, original period. And the 90s started to get boring, but I don't think we did. We kept our 60s and 70s and 80s sensibilities. I would add that I do a lot of my shopping at thrift shops where the old clothing lives. So a lot of what we wear is 30 and 40 years old.
Yes, and we were modern designers. I started in grade school. I was a ballet dancer, so I fell in love with the costumes and performing, and that was just it. So anything colorful, although I wear mostly black now. I've gone into my Amish nun phase. But when I was little, and going to Catholic school and you wore a uniform every day, that's why I'm very at home in a place like this. On weekends was when you could dress. And if you only had a dress for 2 days of the week, your budget went so much further. You wore saddle shoes all week, so then on the weekends you could live a little. And that stuck with me. I loved fashion. I loved to shop. I read all the magazines, 17, Mademoiselle, Glamour, Vogue. My mother, that was what I would get as my birthday present, were subscriptions. And it was just the pictures. I would cut them out. I just thought they were really cool. My mother thought I was nuts, but she was very supportive. And it just kind of stuck with me. When I moved to New York, I moved here in '75, and it was when the punk movement was starting. I had the purple hair. We did the whole 9 yards, all of the danceteria and all of the area, the fun clubs, because that's where you'd meet people. That's where you saw people. That's where your friends met. You'd meet outside. You go to the go inside and party, and then you come out and have breakfast at the Empire Diner. It was like lifestyle. And then you went to work.
This is a good city for fashion, too. We sometimes get comments from people who say, I love what you're wearing. I could never wear that because I went to Boston once, and somebody commented that she couldn't possibly wear what I was wearing. So places further out, not going to name any cities in particular, but we have gotten comments from people who say, can't do that here.
So yeah, talk to me about that, especially also the concept of sort of like dressing for your age. A lot of people will sort of say, oh, well, I'm in my 30s now, so it's like, oh, no more, short skirts, or, you have to wear certain muted tones. Todd, what are your thoughts on that? And,
I'm not wearing a short skirt.
What advice would you give to, people? Like, do you think that there is such a thing as dressing for your age, or would you say throw that out the window?
It's a good question.
Those of us who save lots of things, I won't wear crop tops anymore. I won't wear mini skirts. And my new mantra is, just because you can wear it doesn't mean you should. I have been a couple places recently where, yes, someone in my age group, I'm 68, they're wearing, and I remember when they wore that dress back in the 70s, and you see it and it's like, yeah, you can still get into it, but you're sending the wrong message. So clothing is a way you communicate. That's how you message. The one really good thing is that there are more of us in the media now. We're not oddities. When I traveled for my job, and I would travel, when you're in New York, Chicago, LA, Miami, those are the bubble states. Those are the bubble cities. And so everybody dresses, nobody approaches you. When I would travel in the Midland, I went to Fargo, I went to some really interesting places, people would approach me and say, what are you dressed for? Are you going to a party? The really negative trolls, the one that my buzzword is like clown. When someone calls me a clown, I have to restrain myself physically because it's just clothes. Get over it. It's clothing. It's nothing more than that. It's fun. If I wore, an old lady schmata and dyed my hair so you wouldn't see my roots, somehow that's more socially acceptable. It's like, right now I think there's a freedom to be older and to be bolder.
I think also, I think what we wear typically doesn't have an age. I think what we're wearing right now could go on somebody half our age and would not look strange on them. I think we're kind of almost periodless. We're not dressing to be young or to be our age or anything. We're just dressing in a manner that suits our bodies, frankly. Jean can't wear what I wear, and I can't wear what Jean wears because we're two completely different shapes and personalities. So I think if you can match your personality to your clothing and vice versa, then that's probably a good way to go.
Taylor, if you could influence designers to pay attention to women over 65, Diane Sawyer said that we control $65 billion in disposable income. We don't want to look like red carpet queens. We don't want to wear stiletto giant platforms. We don't want to wear bodycon dresses. We want clothes that work. And we search out designers and people in the marketplace, and there's several in this room, who buy and design and sell clothes that we can wear and be comfortable and be proud. There's a brand that deals with modest dressing. And it doesn't mean old fogey dressing. It means beautiful, stylish silhouettes. And designers need to get that message. Shoe designers need to get the message that we don't want to wear gray or beige orthopedic shoes. We want to wear something that's stylish and comfortable. And the more we can get that message out, because they're kind of ignoring us. It's like when you look at social media and you see who wore it better, it's like, it's cut to here, it's up to here, and we're not going to buy it, we're not going to wear it. But we do want to wear clothes, and we need to get them that message.
Do you feel like social media has helped you get that message out, or like helped sort of like at least draw awareness to this older market?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We go to runway shows, and I look around the room, and I always go, yeah, I'm the oldest person in this room. And it's like, but so what? Okay, I still buy things, I still, appreciate things, I still follow social media, and I still support designers. There's several, the 8 Senses on West Broadway, there's several that make clothes for women that want to dress comfortably, beautifully, and you want clothes that travel, because we don't sit at home anymore, we are mobile.
So there's a lot of, I guess, a lot of senior influencers, such as yourself, are sort of like older white women, or in certain cases, like a few older white men. Why do you think that is? And so do you think there's more room for inclusivity in, the sort of older fashion community?
Go on Instagram. There are lots of really hip, older black women, black men. We support the New York Milliners Guild, and a lot of them are very, very big presence on Instagram and social media, and they're out there. They're in events, they march, they do their own fashion weeks. Brooklyn Fashion Week, I got to walk the runway. I think in the one show I was in, there were 3 Caucasian models, and everybody else was either Asian or black, and gorgeous, and all ages, all sizes. And I think it's changed. It's already changed. We're in New York, so we're in the bubble, so it's changed in New York. I'm not sure that it's changed in the middle of the country. And the more we can do to support that, the better.
Yeah. And, there's also, you guys were mentioning like some of the stuff, who wore it best, and it's all these like, millennial women. There's been a lot of discussion, especially for younger women, of how Instagram and specifically these very visual social platforms have affected, beauty standards, and also just the amount, even before we came on stage, my friends and I were talking about like false eyelashes, how everyone seems to wear them now on Instagram. Like, do you feel any pressure to kind of adhere to some of those beauty standards? Do you guys Photoshop your photos at all? Do you, and sort of what do you, I guess, think of that, or how are you working to break those perceptions down?
Well, it depends on what you mean by Photoshop. If there are shadows that come across the picture, yes, absolutely. But we are what we are, and we're not going to surprise anybody. Nobody's going to think that we're sweet young things. That's the way we've designed it, is to show that you can be this age and still be relevant and interesting, and if not beautiful in the Vogue sense, then beautiful in the human sense. As for false eyelashes and that kind of thing, people who want to wear that should feel happy wearing that. I'm not going to take the time. It's really a matter of time. I'm not going to bother with that.
And what about like disconnecting? I feel like for so many influencers like yourselves, like, it can really, like you said, you can spend 8 hours on the blog, or suddenly you find yourself, on Instagram at night. Do you guys make a concerted effort to disconnect and have downtime away from technology?
Concerted effort?
I'm guilty. I'm on all the time. And I find that having my iPhone with me when I'm traveling is the best. When they announce that my flight is delayed, instead of just sitting there going, do I have one more Starbucks before my plane comes? Or I can sit there and I can communicate with people, or I can follow people, or I can see what's going on. I love that. I call it my weapon of mass information, because you can find out what's going on. Coming here today, my girlfriend was stuck up at 58th Street because of the CNN bomb, and they'd closed 9th Avenue. And, so it's like, so who's coming and who's not, and where they are and what's going on. I just find it fabulous. Great long hours go when I don't answer my phone and I don't respond, but when I'm on, I'm on. So
I disconnect rather easily.
Amazing. You need to tell us all your secrets. And talk to me about sort of like female friendships, in older age. Like you guys have been friends for so many years. How do you maintain that friendship? Do you guys ever fight?
We disagree. Of course, we disagree. I think it's almost like a marriage, and it's sort of like a three-legged race, and you have to kind of, both of those legs have to go at the same time, and they don't always. Are we like siblings, perhaps?
Probably, yeah.
Well, we've known each other for 10 years, so we're bound to have disagreements about something, but it works.
I have friends from high school. I had my 50th high school reunion a year ago, and there were friends that I got together with. My college girlfriends and I got together last weekend, and so we stayed. I went to school in Philadelphia. I grew up in D.C. So it's like they're all East Coast, so we all can get together on a regular basis, and we keep in touch. And now they have Facebook and Instagram and things. You can see whose granddaughter's graduating from grade school or high school or college. So you can keep in touch. It's you don't have to write letters and go to the post office and do all those things, because my mother never wrote letters. She was always people in the family would always yell at her because she was not communicating. And you can do that now so easily.
It's a wonderful way to bond with other people, as well as mentioned earlier. That how would I have a friend in Denver that I loved and had never met, but I did. And when she came to New York, it was like, oh, you really are that person. It's not that you were some made-up visual. Instagram makes it easy to keep in touch with people on a deeper level. It looks very superficial, but it doesn't have to be.
But events like this, too. I volunteer for New York Senior Medicare Patrol that helps inform seniors to avoid scams, healthcare fraud scams and things. And that's where you meet a lot of other people and you get the word out. So, there's lots of ways to become physically, personally involved, not just on your phone.
I think we're going to take a few questions from the audience. Anyone? See one right here.
Want to compliment you on your boldness, and for someone like myself, I'm bold in certain ways, but I always loved dressing up in whatever way I wanted to. In fact, when I was young, that was a while ago, I actually went to a party as a Playboy bunny. Yes, and that is in the past, of course. But what do you think about the idea for people who want to dress their fantasies and so forth, of organizing a senior Halloween party or something of that sort?
That sounds way cool.
It sounds like a terrific idea.
Why not?
Yeah. Definitely.
Anyone else? Other questions? See one in the back? I think they're going to come through with the mic.
Yes, hi. So I love what you're wearing. How often do you shop? Do you recycle your stuff? I love thrift shops as well. So I'm just curious, what's your sort of routine like? And do you ever just sit around in jeans and a sweatshirt?
If I'm sitting around at home, I'm sitting around in cotton and lycra leggings and a tank top. And that comes from having had cats in my life. So I would come home and I'd have to take off my clothes because I'd get cat hair on everything all the time. And I'd be on the street minding my own business and somebody would say, oh, you have cats. And I got tired of that, so that's what I wear at home and that's why. But when I'm out, we can't walk around naked. We have to be dressed. So you might as well like what you're wearing. That's very important to me, to like what I'm wearing. And I have what my grandmother would call a champagne taste and a beer pocketbook. So yes, I go to secondhand shops and recycle what's there. And when I grow out of things, then I take them back to a recycle shop and I sell them, or I've put things on eBay. If I've worn them to death, then they go where things go to die. But yeah, I'm really into recycling in every sense of the word. This is recent, but I do have stuff from the 40s that I wear.
And shopping, I don't shop online. I don't like to shop online. I live in a building now with millennials, and when you come in, it's stacked with boxes. Rent the Runway every Friday. They're renting clothes to wear and stuff. You know, I have to see things in person, try them on, or, you know, see it to know that that's my size. So, you know, I do the vintage shows. So the past 2 weekends, there was one this weekend too, the Manhattan Vintage. And that's where I have vendors that are friends, and that's where I would shop.
Awesome. Do we have time for one more? Are we done? Oh, yes? One, please. Sure. I think this might have to be the last one.
Well, hi, Valerie. Hi, Jean. I wanted to tell you, first of all, I'm a huge fan of yours, and I'm so grateful to get to share that publicly.
Thank you.
And I also admire, I want to make a statement, is how inclusive you are as opposed to exclusive. You know, when we're people walking around and they come up to you, that you always have a welcoming, warm, kind heart to bring people into your world. I'm the recipient of one of those people, so I appreciate that. So my question to you is, when you wake up in the morning, what kind of a wardrobe organization do you have in your home that you go to pick and choose to inspire what it is that you're going to be wearing on any given day? And is it having anything to do with the weather, where you're going, who you're seeing, and your mood? And I'd like to comment on your husband, but I'm not going to.
All right, so we're running low on time, but talk to us. Yeah, how do you pick out your clothes in the morning?
Chaos. I use the chaos theory. I knew today that I was going to be sitting on a sofa, so I wanted to wear a skirt. So if I crossed my legs, I wouldn't have any problem. I wanted to wear footwear that, you know, is fun. They're like platforms. Everything's black, so yeah, I can get dressed in the dark. It's just the weather, basically, is, you know, I wore a coat today, which once I got outside was a little too thin for the weather. But everything else was, you know, I like to wear hats, so there's usually going to be a hat. Jewelry, you know, I have collections of Bakelite in plastic from a zillion years ago, and it's just like, what color am I going to wear? And you just kind of go, and you throw on the rings, and, you know, it's done. Simple.
I have my closet organized by color.
Perfect.
But Jean and I, we've talked about this sometimes. We'll call one another and say, what are you going to wear? I don't know, what are you going to wear? And there are times when we'll agree after the fact that we just wanted to wear such and such item. So it might be a hat, or it might be a pair of shoes. Okay, I want to wear this hat. What do I build around this hat? So of course, your point about weather, yes, weather changes everything. But if it's a nice day, if it's a seasonal day, if it's not raining or snowing, then you get your choice of, do I want to stick with the black or do I want to go with color? And what am I trying to make a point of today? Am I trying to make a point today?
Amazing.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here with us. Really appreciated chatting with you. Yeah.